Ready, Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo. Hello, Internet. It's Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on Ready Check Radio, it's time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up show. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, as always, and this is episode 145. We're doing it live, as we always do, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Chat standing by to chime in with their opinions as we go, and we hope at some point you'll join us. You can do so by heading right there, ReadyCheckRadio.com. Check out the backlog of this show and all the other ones, and then, of course, all the socials are in the upper right. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on Audible, Spotify, any of the podcast platforms, thank you so much. Give it a like, a subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff that feeds the algorithms while you're there, because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, including Netflix saying no, some games going away, horror games, including some Resident Evil Requiem thoughts as we work our way through that one, and more. Joining me to talk about all the fun stuff, Mr. Dom Greco. What's up, sir?
Ooh, how's it going?
You look like you're at a rave.
I am. I'm getting ready. Concert season. And I was just listening to a French podcast, and Sharon Osbourne confirmed that Ozfest is coming back next year.
Was it lesconcerts.com? Was that the podcast you were listening to? Did you give it a like, a thumbs up, and a comment, all that stuff to feed the algorithms while you were there?
I didn't, but
you son of a bitch! How can we ask others to do it?
The viewers at home should do it here, though.
Also on the line, the 3D printer himself, Mr. Troy Blackburn. What's up, boss?
I've been playing some World of Warcraft and 3D printing some pimpage for some of my board games.
I know,
so
like
having a lot of good times.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I have from weeks and weeks ago when we were like trying to convince Troy to get on World of Warcraft for the first time in many years. He did friend me on Battle.net like the week after that, and I was like, okay, we'll see. And then the last week or two, I've seen Newbridge is on World of Warcraft, and I'm almost messaging you, but I'm like, I don't want to scare him away. I'm not going to message him yet. So are you on Classic? Are you on Retail? I mean, obviously Retail just had midnight launch yesterday officially, but a few days ago for early access. What flavor you play?
My best friend is playing Classic, but I've been playing Retail, and I've been kind of prepping for the expansion and getting a bunch of alts up to level 80. Funny enough, when the expansion launched, I decided instead of any of the alts I wanted to play, that I wanted to play an Earthen Fury Warrior. So I just got him to level 80 today, so I'm finally hitting that midnight expansion.
And now you're going to hit the midnight expansion. Well, you're right behind us. Definitely hit Havoc and myself. Lou hasn't jumped in yet, but I'm sure at some point he will. Hit me up. I think I'm like 82 and he's 81. I didn't have a ton of pre-early access, time to mess around with it. Dom, how are you in Retail at all, in midnight?
I am. I'm level 90. I have finished Sojourner of all the zones except for the final one, Voidstorm. So
Jason Winter trying to throw shade. I think I played WoW in 2015. Hit me up on Battle.net, Jason. We'll get you in there too. However, Jason is about to finish his 7th legendary in Guild Wars 2. I still have not mustered up the courage to do my first one in Guild Wars 2.
No, I don't have any legendaries in Guild Wars 2.
Famously, I still have like 3 characters in the Silver Wastes. Famously. Yeah. See, Jason already knew that I can only finish legendaries if I leave the Silver Wastes. We'll see. So I feel like, Dom, you and I, let's wait a week, and then we can kind of talk about our thoughts on the expansion after we've, just officially launched last night. We've had a few days of access to it.
You don't want me spoiling things for you.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil anything for you, and obviously there's a few things that come after the expansion launch. I am gearing up to what I think will be one of the more interesting Race for Worlds firsts in a while, given all of the add-on slashing that has gone on through the tool. So that should be very interesting. And the fact that there's going to be multiple raids dropping at once, and it'll be interesting to see how the teams tackle, which one they go to first and things like that. It's going to be very interesting over the coming months.
Considering I've never used the combat add-on, I think I'm going to be okay.
Oh, yeah, I think I'm going to be fine. But when you, watch Team Liquid do their thing, you're like, holy shit, what is going on this screen? And now Weak Aura's in a little bit of a different place these days, post-midnight. So, yeah, we'll circle back next week. And if you are somebody that watches the Relic Grind on Thursdays, the Final Fantasy Square Enix show, particularly if you hang around on Mondays for our Final Fantasy TCG trading card game live locals, this Thursday's Relic Grind, I'm going to have two very special guests with myself because there were some big bans dropped in the Final Fantasy trading card game just a couple of days ago, just like 2 days ago, that go into effect later in March, that are really going to shake up the meta just by themselves on top of a new set coming later this month. So I will have some Worlds level players from the North American team with me on Thursday for that show. So don't miss it, particularly if you know Mike Powell and Tori Kelly. They'll be joining me Thursday night for that. But today we've got to talk about Gaming Gumbo. And so this was not in the initial show notes. It's not in the title card. It's not in anything because this just broke today. Highguard, the beleaguered game that, capped off the video game awards, is saying goodbye. Posting on Twitter, they say, today we are sharing difficult news. We've made the decision to permanently shut down Highguard on March 12th. Since launch, more than 2 million players stepped into Highguard's world. You shared feedback, created content, and many believed in what we were building. For that, we are deeply grateful. Despite the passion and hard work of our team, we have not been able to build a sustainable player base to support the game long term. Servers will remain online until March 12th. We hope you'll jump in with us one more time to show your support and get those final great matches in while we still can. The team's excited to release one final update to enjoy... That's 9 days from now, by the way, March 12th. I'm just putting this in context. It's not like they announced 2 months from now. No. The team's excited to release one final game update to enjoy in the remaining life of the game. We'll be adding a new warden, a new weapon, account level progression, and skill trees. Full patch notes are coming, and we're targeting tonight or tomorrow morning for patch release. From all of us at Wildlight, thank you for playing, for supporting us, and being a part of Highguard's story. So I guess on the good news side of this, gang, it did beat Concord, right? Concord lasted 2 weeks. This lasted about a month and a half when it's all said and done. So it does beat that record. Yes, Shirak, you are right. It does. Yeah. I don't think any of us on this panel are surprised the game is closing, but I am going to admit, Dom, that I am a bit surprised by how fast this went down. When you talk about updates adding, a progression and skill trees and stuff for a free-to-play game, that means it never really got off the ground. And we've talked about the, hundreds of thousands of people that it got on its free-to-play launch day because of all the buzz about it from the Game Awards and the people being mad about it that just wanted to shit on it. It had a big audience of eyeballs on day one, and we knew those eyeballs aren't sticking around, and the numbers got small fast. But I would not have put my money on March 12th. This feels like, what do you have to lose, particularly after it apparently was funded by Tencent, and nobody really knew that stuff that we talked about on previous shows. I feel like if you were missing core elements like player progression and skill trees and stuff, this never really got the chance to cook publicly.
Yeah. I'm just very happy that, with 9 days left, they added account-wide progression.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
I think that sort of speaks to a part of why it kind of fell off the cliff that it fell off of. It's missing things like account-wide progression. And what was the other?
It was early access, bro. It was early access.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You launch, you ask for money. People are going to judge your game as a finished game. And it came across as unfinished. Early access means nothing nowadays to people who are spending money.
Yeah, and that's a question we don't have answered yet. Like, if you bought something in the cash shop, will you be given refunds? Like, I'm sure there'll be an FAQ published over the next day or two. It might even be up now as we are, doing the show here. I don't know. So stay tuned for that. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, Concord got refunded. Look, I hate that this team is out of work. Right? The video game industry sucks enough as far as employees getting laid off and all that stuff. This certainly does not help. But I'm going to reiterate something that I said on a previous show when we talked about the numbers just taking a nosedive. The failure of Highguard, I am sorry, to me, is not blamed on Jeff Keighley or the Video Game Awards. I've seen that take on Twitter. I couldn't disagree with it anymore. Does it make things a little more high profile in how catastrophic this failure is perceived? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But there's the argument that you don't even get the chance with the hundreds of thousands of eyeballs that you did have on day one had things not gone the way they did at the Game Awards. Good, bad, or indifferent eyeballs. You had eyeballs, and the game just didn't captivate. Whatever their future plans for it were to make it a little bit different, if we think back, there's been games like Rainbow Six Siege, which right off the bat was not well received, if you remember that right, and needed time to cook and needed time to change and adapt to what players were looking for. And it's I don't think any of us would argue that it's not successful to this day. Maybe not as successful as Ubisoft needs it to be going forward, but it is successful. There just wasn't anything compelling about the game itself. And while the developers may have been very passionate about the pieces they were working on them within the constraints of executive leadership decisions that pushed another live service game into a crowded field of live service games without any real reason for this one to stand out, Troy, right? Like, I don't know if it's any more complicated than that.
Yeah, I mean, I always consider myself a pretty wide player base sort of interest person. I'm pretty much with the masses a lot of times when it comes to my opinions on stuff on games like that. And I had no interest in it whatsoever, and didn't even want to try it and check it out. And they got more eyeballs on it, like you said, due to that Jeff Keighley mentioning it on the Game Awards, like he did, apparently pro bono.
Yeah,
and
that too.
It never really hit a mark that people were going to see it as something that they wanted to put their time and effort into when they had their time and effort. They've sunk cost fallacy or whatever in their existing game that they're already playing. There was no reason to come over to this one. There was not enough different and not enough unique and not enough interesting things to want to make them move on.
Dom, I will say that it was interesting to see Jeff Keighley, who, as this was all kind of exploding on day 1, day 2, day 3, after early access had started, had replied via Twitter to some users criticizing everything we were finding out about them getting that advertising spot for free, it capping off the show, and maybe didn't warrant capping off the show, all that fun stuff. Him replying to people with the John Hammond from Jurassic Park meme saying, in 24 hours, I will be accepting your apology. And then Jeff Keighley having to tweet today that effective March 12th, Highguard will be closing.
Life finds a way.
Obviously, there were many references in replies to his tweet today, quoting his apology tweet that he would be receiving. And of course, there were references to aging like fine milk. Now, there's one aspect of this that I was not able to confirm before we went live today. And if this is true, I think this is incredibly just funny, right? Apparently, I have seen people reference that prior to Highguard even coming out, somebody jokingly put up a game closure notice on the game's subreddit, the whole text on a background thing of, it's been fun and all that stuff, and it even dated it like June 26th. Now, I couldn't find that. I'm assuming it's because it was on the Highguard subreddit, and so probably got deleted by mods pretty quickly. If this is real, though, The game, Troy, didn't even last as long as the people who were joking about it closing. Because they put like June 26th on it. So if that's true, that's incredibly funny and just really bizarre. So I will say their website's back up.
Well, at least they've got that up and running again.
Yeah. The website's back up. I don't know. So yeah, rip Highguard. Next, let's talk a little bit about Resident Evil. Yeah, it didn't even outlive the memes. No. Resident Evil Requiem. I have been streaming that. I've streamed like 3 or 4 times. In my playthrough, I'm not going to give spoilers or stuff here. We all know that you go back to Raccoon City. It was part of the trailers, including the PD. So I'm not spoiling anything to say that I have just entered the Raccoon Police Department in my playthrough. I have no comprehension of how close or how far that is to the end of the game because I've been staying away from everything. If you want to watch those streams, make sure you're following us so that they can go live and you can see what Resident Evil toys I might be 3D printing at the time that we're playing. Yeah, see?
Do you have a camera for your printer like set up to
I do.
show while you're playing?
I do. So if you look, it's like the game takes up most of the screen in the upper right. Yep. I'm in the upper left, and in the lower left is the live camera of the 3D printer printing its thing. The first night, it was kind of cool watching it as it printed out the helixes in the T-Virus capsule item.
So you could just speed the whole live stream up and get a time lapse.
There you go. Yes. Yeah, you could just hit fast forward. Yeah. So I'm going to say I'm honestly enjoying it, and I stayed away from reviews and everything. This was not a game I needed to see gameplay of. It was going to be a day one buy for me. So I stayed away from reviews just because I didn't want to see anything. I wanted to go in totally cold as far as monster models, boss models, anything that might accidentally reveal something. But I will say that right now it has an 89 critic score on the PlayStation 5. It has a 92 on both PC and Xbox, and even a 90 on Switch 2. Now, don't take the fact that the PlayStation 5 is lagging a little behind on those points to mean much. PlayStation 5 has 122 critical reviews. The others have 13, 21, and 14, respectively. So clearly the critics are playing this one on PlayStation 5. But on top of the score, it should be noted that right now, best games by users, and this is from 1958 to now, Resident Evil is now tied for first. Resident Evil Requiem, 9.5. Any guesses what's in first, Troy? Well, what's tied for first with it?
Oh, crap. I was just looking at that, too, and I don't even remember what it was now.
No guesses?
No, I don't have any guesses. Before I looked at it, my guess would have been Witcher 3, but I know that's just below it.
Yeah, Witcher 3 is 7th. I mean, there's a couple of ties, so we'll just call it 7th. It's actually, I guess you could call that tied for second, but it's a 5-way tie for second. And again, this is user score. Dom, any guesses? 9.5 user score.
Ocarina of Time.
No, nothing that old, brother. The first game we get to that's like that old or older is Chrono Trigger, is technically in 9th at 9.2, but with all the ties, that would put it in 3rd. Claire Obscure, number 1 with Resident Evil at 9.5. We'll have to see if it stays there, because there is a game that's creeping up right now, just from a couple of days of reviews coming in, and we're going to see more over the next week here, and that's Pokemon Pocopia, which is climbing up as well. It already has an 88 from the critics. We'll have to see where it comes in from the users when it officially launches on March 5th. Dom, have you played Resident Evil Requiem at all? I know you're with me on the RE, but have you played?
I have not. I also haven't played the 4 remake, but I was more interested in playing this one. The only reason I held off is because I wasn't going to be home for the release date. And I was like, let me see what the reviews are. And the only thing that I saw that I was like a little on the fence with getting is the length of the game is a bit low compared to the other Resident Evils, and for it to be a $70 game, I'm trying to decide if it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
might just wait for a sale.
That's an
but
interesting
I'm still gonna
take,
play it.
because I have seen, I think it was IGN maybe, possibly, that had like a bunch of their staff play through it just to see how long it took each of them. And there were, Troy, some people on the team that, obviously experienced with Resident Evil, just trying to blitz the story and get through it, who completed it in like 4.5 hours. And then the other end of that spectrum, you have players at like the 16, 17-hour mark, presumably the less experience with Resident Evil and maybe some of the things you can expect by playing that game. So I'll have a time shortly. I have played for, it's about 12 hours according to my Steam profile, but obviously there's breaks and, pre-show stuff and stop and talk to chat stuff going on with the game running. So out of that 12 hours, let's say that there's probably about 9.5-ish of actual gameplay. And I'm sure the game itself will give me a timer at the end, and that'll be skewed a little bit, but not as much as the Steam timer. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I really am. And Dom, I don't want to spoil anything for you. Here's the thing, though. I could not for the life of me, Troy, find a physical copy. Could not for the life of me. And we know Capcom, like, they weren't doing a collector's edition because of tariffs and they didn't want to send statues. So they just sent statues and sold them separately. Yeah, whatever. But so I bought it on Steam on release day, so that it was in my Steam library for my Steam family to play if they wanted to. And that's where I've been streaming from. My daughter wanted it for PlayStation 5. And so we ducked out to try and buy one, and we couldn't find it anywhere. And so we were like searching online and couldn't find it anywhere. And then I stumbled into Reddit and saw a post that like even people's pre-orders were getting canceled at the last minute from Capcom just not shipping enough products. So that sucks.
Yeah.
Are you Resident Evil, Troy? Are you a Resident Evil fan?
I'm a fan of the IP. I can't say that I'm like a big Resident Evil game player, but I'm a fan of the IP.
What's the last one you played?
I've dabbled in Village, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're not that.
Yeah, that's not that old. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You're
you're
all but the remake for 4, so like I'm pretty caught up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baron Vagabond saying I enjoy watching other people play it. Yeah, it's one of those games that like there's a list of people that come and watch me play it that would never play it themselves. And it is definitely one of those games because it is kind of just narrative. If you catch the streams, you're going to know what's going on, and if you have somebody that can catch you up if you miss a stream, you haven't likely missed a much, right? Because it's like 20 minutes of narrative for 3 hours of puzzle solving, get around, kill zombies gameplay. Takao says, I really don't get why publishers even bother shipping physical anymore. Who's not going to buy RE9 due to no physical? Yeah, so from a consumer, or from a production standpoint, I totally get you, right? Like the logistics of putting something online and buying it digitally are super easy. They're low cost, they're low maintenance, and you notice that even the games that only do digital now have not gotten cheaper, right? The $60 and $70 games were $60 $70 because of the production costs of physical stuff, but they're still $60 $70, so they're going to get their money out of you either way. I do, to Cal, the only part I disagree with, I can't disagree with your statement that you don't get why publishers bother even shipping physical anymore. You're absolutely right on that front. As a consumer on the other side of that statement, I hate that statement. I hate that statement.
I want my
You're also
physical copies.
you're admittedly a physical Andy too.
Well, also I can see the writing on the wall, right?
Yeah.
We've seen more cases of that digital game in your Steam library just not being able to be played even anymore, even though it was a single player game to begin with. We're seeing things disappear from our digital storefronts, and you don't own anything. You're basically just renting it until they decide to revoke the license. Yeah, you only paid $60 up front, and that was it, but you don't own it. So yeah, there's that whole aspect of it that I hate, that I absolutely detest. And I hate that companies are trying to extrapolate that even into, like, do some research, gang. If you don't know, they are trying to make you physically rent your computer going forward. And if you think that's a joke, Google it. Go ahead, Dom.
I was just kind of on a little bit of a side note with Resident Evil. How hopeful are you for the new Zach Kreger film?
I'm always hopeful for them. Always. And you know what? I don't even care if they're bad. Like, I don't care. I liked the Netflix show. It wasn't great because it had the Resident Evil license on it. And they tried to retcon some characters and relationships and things to go in a different way. But I think if they would have renamed all the characters and not put the Resident Evil name on it, it would have been an averagely received sci-fi zombie show and not a poorly received one. So I'll watch it.
Yeah. I'm hopeful. I like Zach Kreger. I followed him all the way back when he was in the sketch comedy group, The Whitest Kids You Know. So I'm familiar with a lot of his older work, and I think, I don't know, I think he's going to be great, but I'm a little worried just because I know what happens with this franchise when it comes to the non-games.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm digging it. Come by and watch the stream. I should be done probably in one stream, maybe two-ish. Maybe earlier. I don't know. But if you were trying to call everybody's favorite hot uncle at the moment, Leon, what? That's what he is. Even my daughter, okay? My daughter, who'll be 19 soon, she knew that Requiem was coming. She hadn't played Biohazard or Village yet, and she wanted to play it. And I told her, hey, you can play through those, but at the time, we don't know exactly if Village and Biohazard are going to intersect here at all. The focus seems to be on characters like Leon from older Resident Evils and going back to Raccoon City, and those things weren't really part of the narrative in Village or Biohazard. But if you want to play them, by all means. And she tore through both of them in like 4 days. Like, just ripped right through them. Absolutely loved it. She started, don't laugh at Daddy Leon Dom. Yeah, see, Wind River knows. I wanted to watch her play through the opening piece that I had played through on my stream the previous night. So I played it Friday, she played it Saturday. And so she's playing through, there's a particular scare in there that I thought was really well crafted, and I wanted to see her reaction to it. And she goes, I'm not gonna lie, Leon's kind of cute. like, get the hell out of here. He's like got gray in his. She's like, don't care, he cute. And so, if you want to call Leon, you can. His phone number is exposed. Yeah, right there in a cutscene with Grace, you can see Leon's phone number. Now, of course, it's been 555, right? Like they always do for movies. It's if you can't read it, it's 266-555-0173. And so it's, of course, an invalid number, right? Being 555. But in my book, this is 100% a missed opportunity, Dom, right? Like Stranger Things posters. Hell, even the Mario advertisements a year or two ago. Like they had, for Mario's plumbing service, they had a phone number, and if you called it, it was a recording. Like they could have done something really cool here, but no, they just 555 did. I consider this a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I like when they do those like Easter egg tie-ins with games, TV shows, all that kind of like almost like an ARG. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Didn't happen here though, but you can have his phone number. Clooney is gray and got to beat him off with a stick. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Jason saying that I could have Leon as a son-in-law. That's a little weird. That's a little weird. In celebration of Resident Evil, IGN put up a list called the 30 horror masterpieces to play before you die. Number 1, and I don't think these are in any particular order. This is just, here we go. Games and horror games and ones that were inspired by them. Number 1, Shadowgate from 1987, originally from Mindscape. I played the hell out of that one on the NES. Yes, I played a point-and-click adventure on the NES. You ever play Shadowgate? Either of you?
No, I don't think I ever played that.
How about Doom? You ever hear of it?
Lord have mercy. That thing used to make me so motion sick, and I would still come back for more.
IDDQD.
Yeah, 1993 Doom is number 2. Clock Tower from 1996, definitely a series to play. I've played that on the PlayStation 1. Dom, you played any of these so far? I mean, Doom, right? You played Doom.
Yeah, I played Doom. Yeah, Doom.
And then the list, well, I should say 4 is the original Resident Evil. But then the list kind of, like, if you thought it was a little weird that Doom was on the list and you were like, well, I kind of get it. Then the list starts getting really weird. Remember, this is IGN's headline on this is 30 horror masterpieces to play before you die.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that thought it started getting a little weird.
Yeah, it's so,
like,
the Doom on there, you're kind of like, well, okay, monsters, and all right, fine. I'll let that one go.
It's more of a shooter classic than a horror classic.
Then you see Clock Tower, and you're like, okay, we're back on track, boys. Here we go.
Yeah.
Then you get Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1 in 1996, and you're like, okay. Then number 5 is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Did any of you get scared by anything that happened?
So I was just watching an interview with Matthew Lillard from Scream, the guy who played whatever, and they were talking about, oh, you have a pretty decent career in horror, and he's like, what? Like, I haven't been in a whole lot of horror, and they use Scooby-Doo as a reference, right? And they're like, Scooby-Doo is like children's gateway horror, and I'm like, you start thinking about it, and I'm like, they're not wrong. So is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, is it horror? Yeah, I think it's themed in horror, but it's not horror in the way we perceive. It's not a scary game. It's not meant to like jump scare you or make you frightened while playing. It's just in the horror genre. Not saying I agree with this list, but like, I kind of get where they were going with it.
I don't know, man. I mean, vampires and deaths in it, I guess.
It just really opened my eyes when they're like, Scooby-Doo is children's gateway horror. I'm like, you're not wrong.
Silent Hill in 99 is next. Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, which if you've never played that on the GameCube, find a fucking way to play it. That was an incredible game. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly, which we'll be getting a remake of soon. Resident Evil 4, Condemned, Criminal Origins, Fear, Extraction Point. It's weird to me, Troy, that they put Extraction Point on here, because this was like an expansion to the original Fear. Mm-hmm. So the whole Fear franchise, besides the free-to-play mess that Jason, I'm sure, remembers well from us being brutally disappointed by it, is amazing. Siren, Blood Curse, Dead Space, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, The Evil Within, Alien Isolation, Five Nights at Freddy's, Bloodborne, which is kind of where I'm like, I don't know. Soma, Until Dawn, Inside, Dead by Daylight. Wow, okay, yeah, the entire thing's horror-themed. I get it. Little Nightmares, Visage, Resident Evil 2, Phasmophobia, Alan Wake 2, Mouthwashing, which is all kinds of bizarre and scary if you haven't played it, and Silent Hill 2. So it's not like the entire list just like goes crazy, Troy, but there are a couple on there where you're like, huh.
Yeah, every time it starts to get back on track, you hit one, kind of like you go from Castlevania to Bloodborne, and you're like, I mean, yeah, okay, I can't completely argue with you here, but at the same time, that's the theme and not really what the game was. It's more for, Bloodborne, it's more about the combat, the Souls-like combat. And yeah, the world and stuff is important, but was it really meant to be to scare you and be horror? Not necessarily.
So we already have questions from chat. Questions from chat on where certain games are. Where's my Nosgoth from Jason? Yeah.
Nosgoth forever, baby.
Yeah, fuck Nosgoth. I didn't mind the game Nosgoth. I thought the game itself was fun. I hated that it's what they did with the IP at the time.
Yeah.
Baron Vagabond, no Parasite Eve? Nope. Takal Vid went out for a second. No OG Alone in the Dark. Nope. Where's my Maniac Mansion? Yep. God damn it.
It was like for a while. Do you remember the game Bug Snacks?
Yeah.
They were calling that a horror game. And I'm like, when you start going down like their reasoning, it's like some body dysmorphia horror game. You know, it's like they're not wrong. It kind of is.
Everything's a horror game.
Luigi's
I was
Mansion.
glad to see the Evil Within on here, though. I think that's criminally underrated. I think 1 and 2 both don't get the due that they deserve.
Agree. On the Nosgoth topic, by the way, the Legacy of Kain Defiance remaster came out today. Don't forget, if you're looking for that, it came out. Before we get to some miscellaneous news and then call it a show, gentlemen, Netflix has said thanks, but no thanks to the Warner Brothers deal. We mentioned it on the show because of its intersection with Warner Brothers games and what could potentially happen there. But no, they said no thanks. No thanks. You know, Paramount has been trying to aggressively, in fact, through a hostile manner, get their offer accepted by the WB board. And, you know, it doesn't help or it doesn't hurt things when you can just go to the White House and talk to the President of the United States, who may or may not have a little bit of influence, rightly or wrongly, over whether said deal should even close from a filing standpoint, you know, with the FCC. So Paramount upped their $30 per share offer to $31 per share for the whole company. Remember, Netflix's offer for the company was for certain pieces of it. They didn't want things like the networks. Paramount's offer is taking all of it. Netflix, which was only bidding for that portion of it, had 4 days to come back with a counter offer. Netflix replied on the same day, Dom. They said, "We declined to raise our offer." Sarandos and the other Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters said that the deal was just no longer financially attractive. This transaction was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price. I want to stay away from like the scarier side of what this means for the United States media as a whole, with CBS and CNN and a bunch of other things coming even more under the ownership of a singular billionaire, and the debt that is being taken on and subsidized a bit by money from overseas. Like, that is a whole political discussion. I want to stay away from that for this show, or we'll be here all day because I have thoughts and thoughts and thoughts. It's like $78 billion in debt to make this deal happen on the Paramount side of things. But what we don't know, and what I do want to talk about here, is Paramount would presumably, Dom, take over ownership of WBD's gaming studios, right? That's TT Games, NetherRealm, Rocksteady, WB Games Montreal, and a few smaller ones. Now, whether that means they're actually going to pursue anything in gaming, who knows, or change structure. I would imagine with taking on that amount of debt, there's going to be some pretty substantial layoffs across this entire company, should this deal meet with regulatory approval, by the way. And what's that mean for games coming up? Like, we know they're kind of working on Hogwarts Legacy 2. There's a Call of Duty movie coming out. And what do you think? Is this going to be a good or a bad thing for Warner Brothers Games if Paramount does successfully get this deal to go through?
I can't see this being a good thing. They just don't have the experience with it. It's possible that they may luck into someone and put it in the right hands, but I'm not holding my breath. Typically, I mean, we've seen the state of the game industry now, so it would take a real like shake up to do something to make it interesting and worth their time. So I just don't think they have it in them.
Is WB Games a thing? Let's say this deal goes through, Troy, and presumably it's going to take a while to get approval. So let's put a year on it, right? So let's say 3 years from now, is Warner Brother Games still a thing?
A year from now.
Well, let's say the deal goes through like a year or so from now. So 3 years from now, is Warner Brother Games still a thing?
No, I don't think so. I think they lay everybody off and shutter studios, and maybe they try to sell off that segment. I don't know. I mean, you spend all this money to buy everything, but I mean, you've got things that print money like the Hogwarts stuff. But at the same time, I don't think that that's why they're buying everything. I think they're wanting IPs and studios and networks and things like that. TV wise, movie wise, I think that's the stuff they're looking for. So I would be a little surprised if 3 years from now WB Games is really producing anything significant, if they exist at all.
I would expect them to more like sell off the rights to like a publisher and be like, here, passion project, here's the IP, go do something with it. I don't see them doing it in-house anymore.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. Like, obviously, they're not going to sell off IPs, right? Harry Potter is not going anywhere. That is like a big chunk of money in this whole deal is just that franchise alone. Small potatoes when you're talking about, 90 to 100 and some $1 billion, but still much, much money by itself. But yeah, so I could see them just saying, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. But EA, if you want to make a Hogwarts game, we're happy to license, and create those types of deals where they're just licensing the IPs out. I would like
trust
to
in the monsters created by Paramount Game Studios.
Well, so that's the thing. Like, I would like to think that maybe they keep one, like even if it's just WB Games proper, to do those types of things because they want immediate control over their own IP. Without having to do all these contractual things. But you got to pay to do that, and I don't know if there's going to be an appetite to pay for video games when that's comparatively speaking, it's such a low percentage of the profile, right, of the financial profile. And, yeah, you're taking on $78 billion worth of debt to make this deal happen. Oh, by the way, Netflix did get their breakup fee out of this. Remember we talked about that, Dom, in the first time around? They got $2.8 billion just to tell Warner Brothers no.
Oh.
They said that the company will use that money to just keep investing in the business. Fuck out of here. That's 2 new yachts for the CEOs with a ton left over. Right.
I was gonna say those are bonuses for CEOs.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep. That money, I mean, maybe some of it will hit the line just to be like into tax implications, right? But there's definitely some new boats in the fleet called Tell 'em No, Tell 'em No, Tell 'em No. So, yeah. If it had to be sold, I really did want it to go to Netflix. I thought, okay, let's... It's like pick your billionaire, right? You're like, ugh. Which is the billionaire I hate to see have this in their pocket the most. And pending...
But at the same time, Netflix, from the gaming side of it, which is, mostly what we cover here, it would have been interesting because Netflix has been trying to get into gaming for a long time now. So it would have been interesting to see them own, larger studios and things like that, and kind of have their own IPs and properties and stuff. So that would have been interesting to watch going forward.
Tazum says in chat, at least the McDonald's CEO enjoyed his burger. Oh wait, if you didn't see that, that is phenomenal. The McDonald's CEO trying the new, what is it called, the McArch or something like that, new burger, and he took like the tiniest bite out of this thing on the video, and he immediately got destroyed. He took the tiniest of baby bites out of this burger. They were like,
I don't even know if there was meat in that bite. I think it was just that the bun that hangs over the meat.
It was so stupid. It was like, take a bite out of this. Like, just do it. Shut up. He's probably like, oh, I'm a vegetarian. Well, then why are you the CEO of McDonald's? Or you could be the CEO of McDonald's, but have the CFO do this presentation then. Like, you don't have to be the one doing it.
Even if you are the CEO, why put yourself in a position like that?
Yeah, and there's like no way you didn't know in advance that you were like, hey, I don't eat fast food. Like, maybe he bikes all the time. Like, and he's really into fitness, and he's like, I can't eat fast food. It's not mine. I can't do it. Then why do this presentation? Or why include you tasting it on the presentation? There were so many other options here, buddy. There were so many other options. And you knew you weren't going to take a big old chomp well before you sat in that chair.
Just take the bite, cut the camera, spit it into the trash, pretend to
Something.
swallow. Like anything would have been better than that.
Yeah, the product, not a burger. Yeah. Oh, the world today. The world today. All right, so just a few miscellaneous bits and bobs I want to get your thoughts on here. Dom, do you want a Bloodborne remake?
I don't.
Troy, do you want a Bloodborne remake?
I don't think it's necessary at this point in time.
Well, you guys are in the fucking minority because the rest of the world wants a Bloodborne remake and has wanted one for a very, very long time. And I'm here to let you know that apparently it almost happened. Blue Point Games, the studio that we talked about last week that Sony just closed, that had kind of a track record for making really solid remakes, they pitched a Bloodborne remake in early 2025. But From Software is the one that said no. According to that report, Blue Point was advised that the numbers make sense, but From Software, quote, didn't want it to happen. This kind of stemming from Hidetaka Miyazaki's, the creator of Bloodborne, the director of Bloodborne, wants to make a remake, but was too busy at the time to do it. And he said, like, I don't want anybody else to touch it. So From Software respect those wishes and said, okay, the numbers make sense, but we're not going to do it. So we were this close. Doesn't mean we won't have one. It just means we need the original director to be in on it.
Yes, but I could see one coming at some point down the road.
Yeah.
Like it has to, right? It's like one of those, although, I guess Half-Life 2 had to come at some point, right? I put this in here because I wanted your takes on this for two reasons. Well, one reason when I put it in, and now it gets a second reason given today's news on the Highguard front. Troy, Bungie, Marathon, they had their server slam, which apparently was generally well received. People have feedback, good and bad, on all things, including time to kill seems to be one of the bigger topics in the extraction shooter game-ish, whatever they got going on. But in the feedback from Bungie, there were a couple of things that I thought were really weird. In particular, Bungie had to say that, like, many runners have maxed out their faction rep, adopted a rook or two, and braved the haunted hallways of Holler. We've also heard from people saying the deeper they get into progression, the more fun they are having. Talsetti can be unforgiving, and we can't wait to see you next week. I think that's a terrible way to launch an extraction shooter. And the community is rightfully a little concerned that this has a curve at the beginning of it that might drive away somebody that would really enjoy it if they were X hours into it and had gotten past those curves. But then I also have to ask you at the same time your feedback on that thought, and is this door number 3 for Concord 2 Highguard Marathon?
Bungie, do you have faith in Bungie at this point? I guess is the real question going forward. Destiny 2 is harder to get into than it's ever been. It's got that same learning curve that's keeping new players out of it right now. I have several friends who are big hardcore Destiny 2 players, and they admit that it would be hard for me to get into it at this point. That it would be it's very difficult to get other people to come play it who haven't played it before. And are you creating sort of that same scenario with Marathon, I guess, is the question. The deeper they get into it, the more fun they're having. The people who are playing the longest are having the most fun. Imagine that. People who are actually having fun are playing the longest. Imagine that. I don't know. It hasn't. I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about Marathon. It hasn't come across my radar very much recently. It's not been something that I've been keeping up with, like every little update and stuff like that. And like Highguard, right before it came on the Game Awards show, I'd never even heard of it. And I've been watching it since the Game Awards show, but before that, I didn't have any interest in it. So it's going to be interesting to watch Bungie do what Bungie does at this point. Are they going to continue the sort of the Destiny way of doing things, where it's like, okay, these core players right here are going to have a blast in it and screw everybody else? I don't think that's a way to sustain a game long term.
Thoughts, Dom? Although I will give you this, that Jason Winter thinks there's a worse way to launch an extraction shooter, and that's to get a really high-profile premiere and then do nothing to follow it up until launch 7 weeks later.
And then cancel it. Yeah, I don't... Marathon has not really interested me at all. I think like the last style game that I played that is close to this would be why am I blanking on it? The one from New York, the pandemic.
The Division.
Division. You know, it's kind of like in that vein, like the extraction shooter I play, Hunt Showdown, it's not quite the same as this extraction shooter. There's no like, you know, leveling in the same way and like exploration and stuff like that. It's like get in, get out. You have a goal. You know, it's very different. But that game's what, 6 years old now? 7 years old. I think it just.
You have the Division 2 and the Division 3 is coming.
Yeah, so I feel like there's better options out there, but it's not really for me. I tried playing like similar game like Tarkov and stuff. It's just I don't enjoy them as much.
Marathon is one that I'm like watching from the outside, and Troy, that's I think mainly to your point, is that I just don't have a lot of trust in Bungie right now. And then having Sony above them, who they literally took Concord down to the battlefield, shot it, and didn't let it extract, doesn't exactly, you know, give you confidence that if it needs a little bit of a slow bake, that they're going to have the time to do that. So it's kind of a twofold thing there. Like, I'm not sure Bungie can get it right enough day one to buy the time that it may need to cook into something really special or very different from the other extraction shooters out on the market. Although, I have seen general feedback on the gameplay itself being on the higher end of that genre, which is a good way to start and probably would have helped Highguard had it started in a similar position there. Dom, were you about to whisper sweet nothings to me?
No, I looked over at chat and I just read what Wendy wrote. It said Hunt celebrated its 8th anniversary. I was a couple years off and I was just like, oh my god, like I can't believe that game's 8 years old already.
Bandai Namco are going to have some restructuring going on here, so we may see some layoffs there. Now, it seems, at least initially, that most of these are going to be at some of the more senior positions. It's going to have a little personnel change at the executive departmental head level across various groups, including Holdings, Entertainment, and Filmworks, and the Bandai Namco Experience. This is on top of something we talked about on this show, where Nintendo is purchasing 80% of the Singapore studios' shares later this year on April 1st, and then they'll get the remaining shares sometimes after that once the subsidiaries' operations have stabilized. So Bandai Namco in a bit of a flux point. And I have some bad news for both of you on a topic near and dear to all of our hearts, which is game preservation. This one's really, really sad. Myriant, which if you don't know is a gaming archive available for PC players, they're shutting down. It's a nonprofit website. They host over 390 terabytes worth of video game files, making it one of the internet's largest sources of archived gaming data available to both historians and gamers on PCs with legally owned copies of the game. You can upload a game there too, but you have to have legal ownership of it. This is not something like, you know, a bunch of people just, it's archive purposes, ROM. That's not what's going on here. It's a bit of a different beast here. It's closing down. The founder saying that March 31st will be the day. The enormous archive of data, which allows any user to upload copies of their legally owned video games, posted the news on Telegram, assuring fans that the website will continue to function until its closure at the end of the month. The Discord and Telegram pages will stay up if you just like a cool place to hang out and talk about retro games. But creators have acknowledged that they have been paying $6,000 a month out of pocket to make up the funds needed to keep the site running, something that's just not sustainable. And the culprits, the post specifically calls out rising RAM, SSD, and HDD costs that can be directly attributed to the use of AI in the computing world, the impact of the RAM shortage being rather significant, and they also mention the recent increase in, quote, specialized download managers that lock certain site features behind unauthorized paywalls, something they strongly condemn as being strictly forbidden. So I guess we chalk this one up as another loss to the AI space. This one hurts because I'm all about game preservation, and I was very, very sad to see this one, Troy.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate loss. It's a site that archives, especially the older games that aren't, most people don't put priority in nowadays. You know, some of the stuff you'd like to go back and revisit, and you got that nostalgia for. This is one of the places you could have went and got a hold of some of that stuff.
I know there's still some sites like Video Game History Foundation out there that not only preserve like games, but they also do like the media. So they have like issues of Nintendo Power, Game Informer, like they have all those things in their archives too. So I'm a little surprised that they aren't like donating to another, all their stuff to another, foundation like this.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the site can't be used for emulation, right? I'm not trying to, just paint it all with the rosy colors, right? If the files are available and people can get them, there's probably going to be some quote-unquote piracy and downloading and ROMs and like, okay, right? Internet Archive is guilty of the same thing, right? From that level. But this, I always got the impression that there was more of a genuine nature behind the scenes than we just want to create a ROM distribution place or an ISO distribution place or a data files distribution place under the guise of archiving. I always got the impression that they want. You were surprised it wasn't shut down years ago, honestly. Well, apparently it's because they've been paying out of pocket to keep it up and running at this point. So I'm sad to see that one go. But I didn't want to end the show on bad news. I always try to send us to Games of the Week on good news. And so, Dom, today is your day for the good news, friend.
My day.
It is your day.
My day.
It is your day.
Yes.
Because you are maybe getting something you're a little bit interested in it, huh?
Just slightly. I am cautious on this though, for many reasons. I'm very excited for having plastic instruments in my house once again. Was it last November? Cracked CRKD's website. They teased that they were doing a plastic drum kit for rhythm games, and the Fortnite Festival, their version of Rock Band, they posted like a kind of like emoji to that, like they were intrigued because they have the charting for the pro mode plastic instruments. Right now you have to play it on your keyboard. It doesn't feel good, so I avoid playing the drums, and I'm very excited to get back and play drums again. So the one Fortnite, they're in by Harmonix, which is the team behind Rock Band. And then this new game here, Stage Tour, is by the creators of Guitar Hero.
There's a bunch of the creation production team from Guitar Hero that went over to Red Octane Games to make this game here, to make Stage Tour, including a new guitar model, new plastic guitars with a partnership through Gibson.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm not as interested in the guitar aspect of it. I was always the drummer. So like I did play Guitar Hero. I played all the way through to, I think 3 is where I stopped. And then that's when Rock Band came out. And I moved over to Rock Band because they had the drums. And then I think Guitar Hero World Tour came out around the same time, but their drum charts were a mess comparatively. I preferred the Rock Band style. So I'm going to be interested to see how they chart the drums here. it's gonna be either between this one or Fortnite Festival. Those are gonna be one of the two that I pick. Fortnite Festival, around the time that the Pro drums are supposed to come out, they're supposed to have modular installs for Fortnite, which means I don't have to install the Battle Royale if I just want to play Festival. So I'd be very, very excited for that, to not have hundreds of gigabytes, terabytes even maybe, on my computer at that point for a game mode that I don't intend on playing. But then the other difficult part about this is not only the charting, it's got to feel right, whatever. It's going to come down to the soundtrack, whoever gets the better licensing deals, right?
Yeah.
So, that's the unfortunate reality of games like this is the licensing matters when it comes down to it. Then it starts getting expensive. You start getting they're competing. You get exclusives on one, not the other. And then it's, like, what do you play both? It's frustrating. So I'm cautious. We'll see how it goes.
I love rhythm games. I always have a soft spot for Guitar Hero. But I will say, watching this trailer, my favorite YouTube comment on this trailer is it's by Schluggeroony, and it is, the gameplay footage looks like something you'd see in a movie from 2009 where a character is playing a legally distinct Guitar Hero. Kind of my favorite comment. Troy, did you ever get into like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, or any of that stuff?
Rock Band.
Yeah.
I used to go to my cousin's house, and when I say go to my cousin's house, it's like we were kids, right? I was an adult. Would go over to my cousin's house, and me and a couple of friends would sit down and rock band it out. Yeah, it was at that time, it was probably some of the most fun I've had video gaming. It was great.
It'll be interesting. See if we can get a revival of some of this stuff. I literally have my Rock Band drums still in the garage. So we'll see.
I have mine right at the bottom of my basement stairs.
Is are at
right
the
to
foot of
left.
his bed.
I thought it would be, but I can't find the dongle to connect it to the USB. So.
Aren't we all always just looking for a good dongle? Let's go do games of the week. Games of the Week is the way we end every episode of Gaming Gumbo here. It's where all three of us are about to recommend a game for you. Could be a video game, board game, mobile game, card game, something we've played in the past or playing now or haven't played at all but think you should check out. And when you're typing away in the comments below, chiming in on today's topics, you let us know who gave the best recommendation and give one of your own. I'm going to go first. Mine's easy, and it's certainly telegraphed. It's going to be Resident Evil Requiem. I am enjoying it immensely so far. I expect I will continue to enjoy it. And I'll have some final thoughts on whether it was worth the box price or anything like that once I get there. But I highly suggest if you are a Resident Evil fan, you give this one a go. Go ahead, Troy.
Board games this week. Moon Colony Bloodbath. Pay attention to the word bloodbath because that's what it is. You're trying to survive in your moon colony. Every player is sort of creating their own colony, and there's one central deck that says, oh, you can mine resources this time. Oh, robots come and kill you this time. Oh, your sponsorship is cutting funds this time. And you're trying to be the last one to survive. And that's what the game boils down to, because you're building up this tableau of cards and buildings, and you have your certain number of astronauts, which I have 3D printed, by the way. Some little astronauts.
Oh, look at those little guys.
So I've got some 3D print pimp for this game, but it's a fantastic, fun little game if you like everything going to hell in a handbasket.
Excellent. Dom, what you got?
I'm going to have to go with this Thursday, Slay the Spire 2 is releasing. So not only is it the single-player adventure that you enjoy, but it is also co-op, so you can play with your friends. So I will be doing that all weekend.
Oh. All right. I didn't get the invite, so I guess we're not friends. All right.
Oh, like I said, with my friends. Yeah.
Wow.
Just getting you back for last week.
Hey, man, I stayed away from the mom jokes this week. I stayed away from them. I mean, there was dongle that I could have capitalized on. There was plastic friends that I could capitalize on earlier in the show. I skipped them all. That's going to do it for us here today. Of course, we'll be back Thursday with the Relic Grind, where we talk about the Final Fantasy trading card game's latest bans. And then, of course, next week with another episode of Gaming Gumbo. Until then, Troy, where can everybody find you?
You follow me on Twitter at NoobFridge. I will make one tweet for every new follower.
Tom?
In that case, you could also follow me on Noob Fridge.
Yes. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there on Twitter at NoobFridge. But while you're there, make sure you follow at RC Radio so you'll know every time we're going live with a podcast, streams, card games, and more. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.